All right, welcome to this edition of 5 Round MMA. It is Super Bowl week, right?
Yeah.
My name is Alex Ramirez, alongside Albert Cita and Guillermo Cita. Got a lot to talk about. UFC on Fox 10, also UFC 169. And this, media crazy week, right? Super Bowl.
Yeah,
week.
I heard Super Bowl's having trouble, so hopefully UFC can fill that void.
Yeah. What would happen if the Super Bowl and UFC both took place on Saturday?
Ooh. Well, I heard Super Bowl's going to get moved back Monday, most likely.
Monday?
Yeah, but, I mean, the weather's not looking too good, so hopefully they migrate to the UFC.
Honestly, that's what they get. Because, those stadiums were complaining, like, oh, why don't you come out here and play for the Super Bowl?
California stadiums?
Yeah. Look, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like 80 degrees right now.
And then supposedly, like, Denver and Seattle are so far away from New York that the fans, why fly out there 4,000 miles?
You guys want to cry about it, and look, that's what happens. There's a reason why people do certain things.
And there's a reason why nobody ever goes to Jersey, too, by the way. What do you guys just pick Super Bowl?
I hate Seattle, so I'll go Denver Broncos.
You let emotion get the best
I'm a
of you.
49er fan.
Okay.
I don't let emotion get to me. I go for Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, what?
That defense, bro.
And after I saw...
but they've never faced Peyton Manning before. Peyton Manning, a living legend.
That Sherman guy cut the best promo I've seen in a couple of years, man.
Have you guys seen the one where...
I was ready to call up Vince and tell him you need to book this
I saw the one with Kevin Hart.
No, have you seen the superimposed one where they superimpose Sherman with the Mean Gene Okerlund?
Yeah.
the old WWE
background.
Like
a Macho Man promo thing.
That was awesome. You should look it up. Cool. That was a pretty good promo. So I guess we'll jump right into it. UFC on Fox 10 took place this past weekend. Main evented by Benson Henderson and Josh Thomson. Before we start into the meat and bones of the card, what did you guys thought of the undercard? I think the undercard was really good. Mike Rio versus Darren Kirkshank looked amazing, I thought.
Darren Kirkshank did a crazy wheel kick.
Yeah. I think overall the card was overall good.
Yeah.
And especially it started off good with the prelims and that set up to the main event card.
Yeah.
And then even though Cowboy Cerrone had an awesome knockout, I think Darren Kirkshank got robbed in that knockout.
Well, I think they should have been
knockout. I think his was more. He didn't knock him completely out when he did it, but it was an impressive kick.
Yeah, I think Don Cerrone just got the benefit of being on the main card.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Eddie Wilding came back after a loss from Henry Brown. Looked pretty good.
That was a pretty good fight.
He's back in the winning circle.
Yeah.
No, that guy, he was looking good.
Yeah. Also, Bruce Leroy.
That's the fight we wanted to talk about.
It was kind of funny. Like I don't know if you guys noticed, but before I was watching the pregame show on Fox Sports, and like they had Anthony Pettis on there, and even talk about his brother, how brother up and coming. Even when Sergio Pettis was coming out, could you notice that they're hyping up Sergio Pettis big time?
Oh yeah, even if you go on Instagram, you can see the entrance of Sergio Pettis.
Yeah, they didn't even do Bruce Leroy's entrance.
And I don't know when Bruce Leroy made the switch, but he was actually he was with MMA Lab.
Yeah.
So it's almost even more ironic that MMA Lab, with the whole Benson Henderson, Anthony Pettis thing. Now technically they had one of their guys again against another Pettis.
Yeah.
And this time they came in the good side.
Yeah.
And by submission.
Yeah, and that one fight of the night, right?
I think that was like the best thing he could have done was join that MMA Lab. I mean,
what I think it's fun.
Bruce Leroy looked good.
Yeah, what I think is funny is especially Albert. He was a big Anthony Pettis fan. Hype on Sergio Pettis on the the semi-pro level, and then all of a sudden he's like, man, I really don't like Anthony Pettis, and I really don't like Sergio Pettis.
I don't know where it was. I don't know.
There was like this sudden switch in this guy.
No. Because I'm all for you believing in yourself and walking around like you are the champion. But
I know what it is.
He made like I don't know where it was, but he made a little switch, and he's like, he got to a point where I was like, I don't like you, man.
He made a heel switch to you.
Yeah, he made a heel switch, which I didn't even notice.
That's the best psychology ever.
Yeah,
bro. You should like it more now.
I know, but
so that's my question to everybody: is what is everybody's thought on Sergio Pettis and Anthony
with the Pettis brothers no more. Let's just say that.
I think I might have something with the Pettis brothers. I think they just have literally too much swag right now, bro. You think that's what it is? Too much swag?
I don't know. To me,
I think it's just too much swag. I think so people can handle the swag.
I am a swag hater. I'll tell you that
I think it's more Albert. Me personally, I just think Showtime Anthony Pettis is really good.
Yeah.
And then he goes on this, he gets injured, but I mean, like the talk of the town is still Anthony Pettis.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of dropping down onto Sergio Pettis. It's like you haven't done anything.
I think it's almost like that Colin Kaepernick effect, right? You got the swag, you got the snapbacks,
I agree.
You got the headphones all the time.
Wow,
they both got the clean fade. You know what I mean?
I'm from California. Don't think I don't have an itch to go for a San Francisco, but then I see Kaepernick. I'm like, no, I am not going to cheer for that.
Why?
I'm a swag hater, bro.
It's a
That's what I'm
swag,
saying.
bro.
I mean, like he tries to look like he's rugged by not shaving, but yeah, it's still this part's still clean, and he just let his little
not
line
like your
grow.
beard,
I'm
right?
like, please, bro, that ain't no beard. That's not letting it go. That's not roughing it up.
That has nothing to do-
Sometimes swag rubs the wrong way.
But sometimes what you do on the field.
What does he do on the field?
Win.
He kisses his arm on the field. Come on, man.
Yeah, honestly, with
Go back to where
personally
we
for
at.
me with Pettis,
You
Anthony
brought up
Pettis,
Kaepernick.
I like him, but then like he does all this campaigning to get a title shot,
Yeah.
and then he gets hurt. I was like, damn it! Like, I want to see you fight already. I hate it.
Yeah,
When,
no,
like,
it
I know
is a
his-
frustrating
I know it's
thing.
not his fault, but like, man, I just want to see you fight already. Now, before I actually jump to that question, I want to talk about the co-main event. Your boy Stipe Micoc
I know.
was even also that pregame hype. Karen Bryant and Daniel Cormier and Brian Stanwell. This guy is going to be the future of the heavyweight division. And I want to ask you that: is that true after Saturday's performance?
I don't think he did bad. I just think, he,
You see him competing with Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez.
yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Let me bring one good point.
Okay.
People forget that Gabriel Gonzaga got a lot better.
Yeah,
And I think even though he didn't finish him,
Mhm.
I mean, you're dealing with a pretty good Gabriel Gonzaga right now.
Yeah.
So for him to just beat him, I think it's saying
I think Gabriel Gonzaga took some shots
yeah, I
that
think-
would have normally
I
knocked
think there's a lot of
any other
heavyweights
guy
out there that probably couldn't beat this Gabriel Gonzaga that we have.
well, a lot
right
of them
now.
haven't.
I didn't want to
really,
give too much credit to Gabriel Gonzaga, but that's what I was gonna say. I was like, he ran
has
into
got better. He has got, like-
he ran into Gabriel Gonzaga that when he goes on a run,
Yeah,
it's hard to stop.
yeah.
So I mean, he stopped him.
So I know. Remember, we had a question.
I'll go as far as say I think Gabriel Gonzaga will be Bigfoot.
I can see that. Yeah.
So I mean, you have Stipe now against is he up there with the likes of Verdum, Brown?
I think he needs to fight those guys
This
so
is-
we can get a
this-
measuring
this
stick.
This is the way I see heavyweights. Do I think they can beat Travis Brownie? Yes. So I think Stipe Micoc can beat Travis.
There
Brownie.
you go. So then, like next upper echelon next for Stipe, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So now to the main event. Benson Henderson defeats John Thompson. I guess not controversy.
I think it was
I just think
little
it was.
bit, little bit.
I don't think there was controversy. I just think it was super close, and it could go gone either way. So I don't know why he's
Yeah.
No, 'cause
controversy. Josh Thompson won.
I give Josh Thompson 1 and 3 and Henderson 2 and 4, and I think it came out to that 5th round. And I really do think Josh Thompson did more in that 5th round than Benson Henderson.
Yeah. So I guess now we actually talked about this last week. Kind of worst case scenario for the UFC lightweight division. Benson Henderson winning.
Yeah.
And also winning, but he also didn't win very decisively. So now there's a kind of a bump in the road as far as the lightweight contenders go. For TJ Grant is still out with the concussion; he hasn't been cleared to train at all. Anthony Pettis is still injured. So now it's kind of like you made the point right after his performance. Did the UFC want to see this? And do fans really want to see Benson Henderson versus Anthony Pettis 3?
After this performance, the UFC is not excited.
0-2.
Or the fans are excited to see a part 3 of Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Benson Henderson. So Benson Henderson's out of the picture. Benson Henderson needs to fight someone else so people can get excited, and he has to win decisively.
Yeah, I think the fight that interests me more is hearing Benson Henderson versus Gilbert Melendez. Two, rather than hearing Anthony Pettis, Benson Henderson 3.
Yeah.
So that's what I think they should do is Gilbert Melendez. I mean, who knows when?
There's a couple
when
of.
Anthony Pettis will
I
be
think.
back.
TJ Grant aside, there's one more person.
Well, I want to bring up to you guys. I know. I think Anthony Pettis is set to return in the summertime, right?
Yeah, it's supposedly May.
Okay, so I know this coming Super Bowl weekend, Jose Aldo does fight.
Yeah.
So you think win or lose, are they bumping Jose Aldo up to
he must win.
155 now?
It's a must win if he goes to 155.
I mean, well, Frankie Edgar loses and gets a title shot. Why can't Jose Aldo lose and get a title shot?
Because Frankie Edgar has that special relationship with Dana White, and Jose Aldo doesn't.
I personally think win or lose, Jose Aldo's next Anthony Pettis.
I think that makes a lot more sense come May, and then that sets up either Gilbert Melendez or Benson Henderson versus the Russian.
Because honestly, I think the UFC views the lightweight and the featherweight division as kind of standstills right now. So I think they're willing to put both division at a halt just to make one super fight and make some money on their pay-per-view. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Now that I think about it, it's going to be a four fighter tournament.
For
Benson
what?
Henderson, Gilbert Melendez, the Russian,
Khabib,
and TJ Grant if he returns summertime.
Well,
That makes
Josh
sense,
Thompson did suffer an injury, so
he broke his thumb. Yeah, right. So even if he would have won, he would have been.
yeah.
But then Josh Thompson's also considering retirement. If you guys listen to his conference,
he's 35 years old.
It's kind of hard. I know he's new for UFC fans, but fight fans have known
he's been
Josh
there for a
Thompson
while.
forever.
Yeah, I mentioned to Gamer, I was like, this is literally his last run. That's why I was hoping he was. Even though I like Benson Henderson, I was hoping for Josh Thompson just because I want to see the last run before he really leaves MMA.
Yeah,
he is an exciting fighter, and he is a good fighter.
And plus, he has a little bonus with Albert because he beat Nate Diaz.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, if worst case scenario, he does have that little plaque up on his mantle, right? The first guy to knock out Nate Diaz.
Yep.
So, any other points you guys want to talk about?
Just the fact that Don Cerrone's back in the winning circle. That was a big KO win.
Jeremy Stevens is making a.
Jeremy Stevens,
I did not want
he's
to
doing
talk
looking
about
pretty good at featherweight.
I did not want to talk
I didn't
about
want to talk about that. I think Donald Cerrone got lucky though. I think he was getting
Lucky?
rocked.
I wouldn't say lucky, but
I wouldn't
he
say
was
lucky, but he was. It seemed like he was gonna lose the fight when the fight first started.
He did look a little relieved when he got that knockout.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I got the knockout. Thank you.
Yeah, because it looked like it was going to be a war.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you
Before
look
that
after
knockout.
he got the knockout in the first round, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Donald Cerrone after the fight, his face was already starting to bruise up.
Yeah, he
So-
probably felt that it's going to be a tough fight. He probably glad he finished it
Mhm.
the way he did. But all right, so stick around, guys. We'll talk some UFC 169 Super Bowl weekend, right? The big
Yeah.
card, 2 title shots, bantamweight, featherweight, and a big heavyweight bout. So stick around, guys.
Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. FiveRoundMMA.com.
All right, welcome back. Super Bowl Saturday, or I think I want to call it Super Saturday, right?
Yeah,
That's,
super
to avoid all copyright
super
terms.
weekend.
Super weekend, super week, whatever it is. UFC 169. UFC returns to the pay-per-view format with 2 title shots: Henry Barao versus Uriah Faber, Jose Aldo versus Ricardo Lamas, and a big loser leaves home match, right?
That's the way I'm
Versus,
calling it.
Frank Mir and Alistair Overeem. Is this a super card? Is this card worthy? Super?
I don't think
super
so.
status?
No.
I'm not excited.
No.
No,
But-
neither am I really.
Before we do get to the so-called main events,
Yeah.
I did want to talk about Kevin Lee making his debut.
Our first guest ever.
first guest ever here in
Good
FiveRoundMMA.
friend of FiveRoundMMA.
He holds a special place for us. He has his debut in UFC against Ala Cuenta, and I think it's and I really hope it's a big debut. I mean, we've been following him around for his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
Kevin Lee's 7-0 professional fights. I think he's undefeated also as an amateur. So out of Detroit, I think he spent some
trains with
training
Darren
time.
Cruikshank.
Yeah. And you saw how good Derek Cruikshank looked.
Yeah. So yeah, good luck to Kevin Lee. You guys want to jump into Frank Mir versus Alistair Overeem?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's really.
Well, my boy Abil Trujillo
I was going to say.
is going to fight on this card. I did
Alright.
put him on my persons to watch out in 2014.
Is there anybody you wanted to add? I know that yesterday there was some talk about you trying to add someone else onto that list.
Who was I trying to add?
Who fuck?
Bruce Leroy.
Oh,
To
Bruce
look out
Leroy.
for 2014?
No, see, look, I would want to add him, but
He's
the
one-
people I
Albert
picked,
doesn't want to stick his neck out for anybody, right?
look, the people I picked, I said they were going to either contend for the title or win the title.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
right.
sadly, even though Bruce Leroy, I do see a lot of potential. 2014 may not be the year he contends for a title.
So last week, UFC on Fox had the emergence of another possible heavyweight star in Stipe Micoc. This week, UFC 169,
It's going to
the showing
lose the dead weight.
I don't think so.
Trim a
I
little
don't
fatter
think
on the tires.
But I don't think it's fair because these guys are fighting the top heavyweights.
Hey,
How is Pat
it's a tough
Barry?
world out there.
Let me just give you. Pat Barry is not fighting the top heavyweights. He's fighting, the lower end heavyweights, and he's losing to them. And he's still on the UFC
Well, honestly,
roster.
to tell you the truth, I think Frank Mir has a longer leash than Alistair Overeem does.
That's
'Cause
true.
I think if Overeem loses this bout pretty badly, I think he's pretty much gone. Because this guy has not
Ever since
delivered.
He's
Jeff
not
Brock
delivered at
Lesnar.
all.
I
yeah.
think this is what makes the difference because we have to take in consideration there's not that many heavyweights to start off with.
Yeah.
So every single time they cut a heavyweight, it does mean a big thing in UFC.
Yeah.
But people forget that also Overeem probably comes with a big price tag.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so does Frank Mir. Frank Mir's been there so long, I'm pretty sure he costs us a lot too.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to drop one of these guys just because they're so expensive. And like you said, well, Pat Barry, I'm pretty sure Pat Barry doesn't make what also Overeem
That's
and,
true.
and Frank
Yeah.
Mir make.
$500,000 just to lose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
So I think that's why this. Even though if it was any other heavyweight, they'll still keep him, i.e., Dave Herman or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's why this is whoever loses leaves because I mean they have a big price tag.
Yeah.
Well, it makes more sense for Frank Mir to win because he has more to lose. Frank Mir, if he loses, he still has an opportunity to be front office in the UFC.
Well, I don't think so because I think he does.
Commentator,
I think he does get a job if he loses. But I think he already showed what he. I mean, he's already won the UFC belt while Alistair Overeem hasn't. So I think Alistair Overeem has
2
more to lose.
times.
If Alistair loses, I mean, he has no job.
Yeah.
He never won the championship. And what does he do next?
And then he left the Black Zillions. So
go to Bellator World Series of Fighting, fight Brett Rogers again. So I guess we want to jump into the main event and co-main event. I guess good friends Jose Barao and Renan Barao will be defending their titles respectively against Uriah Faber and Ricardo Lamas.
And your boy,
Ricardo Lamas.
Fine, what I said, I can't wait. Hopefully next week we're here and y'all laughed at me. Y'all laughed at me. Ricardo Lamas, new featherweight champion, but I don't think that's gonna happen though. But you never know.
See?
But I guess it's funny, like. I assume Jose Aldo and Renan Barao are pretty big in Brazil, right? But like, you asked a lot of American fans, who's Renan Barao? I think I've heard of Jose Aldo, but is this kind of benefit the UFC to have so many Brazilian champions who don't even really speak any English at all, really? And,
it doesn't benefit the UFC that Ricardo Lamas beats Jose Aldo. Let me just say that. If Jose Aldo is not a star,
these are the last Brazilians fighting for belts.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if these two guys lose this weekend, then there's no more Brazilian champions. Imagine that. When was the last time you can think of the UFC didn't have a Brazilian champion?
Well, yeah. For so long, it was always just Anderson Silva was the one, right?
Yeah. So we're getting to an era where it's nothing but American champions.
Is that the Brazilian fighters dropping off, or are the rest of the world catching up? Almost like soccer, right? It's like this, Brazil sets such a benchmark.
Well, the thing about Brazil, if you relate it to soccer, the thing about soccer, they're always there.
Yeah.
But when their stars start getting old in age, there's always this young crop right here. They're 19, 20, 21. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't win the World Cup, but give it one more World Cup, and then all of a sudden they're on number one again.
I think Brazil and like many other countries, once they get good at something, they go all in on it. And since in the United States we're so good at a lot of things, that it has to get popular before people really go all fully in. Yeah. And I think that's the difference between and that's why I think finally now that UFC is so big, I think now as an American audience and as Americans we're finally going all in.
And then strategically too, jiu-jitsu was the Brazilian way to do things. Yeah. And now wrestling is starting to find a way to counter it.
If you go see the Dan Severn fight, he was very he was very dominant, but it wasn't until someone can add something to that wrestling that now it became the number one thing to have as far as in your toolbox. Because in jiu-jitsu, you didn't really need to learn how to strike. You could just choke out the guy. But in wrestling, you take him down, and then what? Yeah. Then what do you do? Yeah. But that's why if you go and watch the first Dan Severn versus Gracie fight, he was throwing him around and keeping him down, but it just sucked that Dan Severn didn't know what else to do. But now I think now that you can add something to wrestling being the forte of United States is the best form of martial arts.
Well, they always say that wrestling's the best base to build off of to build a MMA career. So
I just think it's funny because Anderson Silva, when they say, "Oh, who can beat Anderson Silva?" it was always a wrestler.
Yeah. No, there you go.
Yeah. So do you think that's kind of the is that what kind of Renan Barao and Jose Aldo, like wrestlers are the weakness? You think?
Yeah, but the thing is, at that weight class, they're jumping around the cage.
It's funny, almost like every Brazilian comes in, he always has automatically black belt in jiu-jitsu, huh?
Yeah.
But you never see it. It's just kind of funny, black belt, but like they come already pre-stamped with black belt. Where you always hear American fighters like, oh, just recently, like Benson Henderson, oh, he just recently got his black belt in jiu-jitsu. So maybe it's kind of like.
Well, the thing about Jose Aldo and Renan Barao is they have knockout power.
Yeah.
So. Well, I do want to bring up one thing on the Uriah Faber fight because I really think out of our both championship fights, I think Uriah Faber is the one to do the upset.
Yeah.
One because I think he really knows that this is his time. It's now or never. And the second thing is I wouldn't even be surprised if he retires. If he wins.
If he wins, really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
This guy, he's what, like in his 30s? He looks like a 22-year-old, man.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think Uriah Faber loves what he does.
Yeah,
he loves training. He loves fighting. And when you're on top of the world, why would you stop?
And especially now too with the Dwayne Ludwig as our coach, teaching him new things.
Yeah.
It's paying off. I think he has another 4 years, maybe 5 years left in him.
You hear some fighters say that they struggle with the training, with the weight class, being away from their family, and it seems like Uriah Faber just thrives on that.
Everybody in this whole alpha male kind of, that's what they live to train.
Yeah, it's like this is my actual family.
And the other thing too, I think it means more that Uriah Faber brings the first belt to the alpha males. I mean, if Joseph Benavidez would have been the first one, it'd been cool, whatever. Yeah. But I don't think it would have meant as much as if it was Uriah Faber the one to bring.
Faber
bring
is
it back.
the alpha male.
Yeah.
So it would be like great, like a Hollywood ending, as we would say,
exactly.
Right?
So and what chance do you give Ricardo Lamas over Jose Aldo?
Not that.
That's the real question.
Well, I give him a puncher's
chance.
Well,
after seeing his personality on the fights when they did talk
Joe
to
Rogan,
I give him 0.
Also, personality.
He had 10% chance until he talked.
So come on now. So personality actually factors into the judges' scorecards now. Well, is it a 10-8 for personality or what?
Yeah, come on. But I actually agree with Albert. I think the thing about Ricardo Lamas, he doesn't have that killer instinct. Like, I'm gonna let my wins do the talking. Yeah, but
he did. What do you mean? Killer instinct.
Look at previous judges.
He's too much of a nice guy.
You look at the fight and you're like, why did he go for that guy? Because he had personality.
Killer instinct. 4 KOs for Ricardo Lamas. 3 submissions. 7 finishes.
2 losses.
Out of his 13 fights. That's a killer instinct.
Well, he's the biggest Ricardo Lamas fan here.
No, it just made sense. I was like, if you want to. I'm not a big fan of the super fights just to put them together because it seems like that's what Pettis and Jose Aldo was. Well, we don't have anybody here. Just put these 2 guys together. They'll both have names. But Ricardo Lamas is actually doing it the right way.
But not to jinx Ricardo Lamas, but I really hope Jose Aldo doesn't make that bump up to that super fight because I really think Chad Mendes deserves the rematch that he never got.
Yeah,
he held on to the fence, people.
Yeah,
he held on to the fence.
When he was about to get
that's clearly cheating.
Superplexed.
Yeah.
I
think it makes the most sense for the UFC wise, money wise, and marketing wise to put Jose Aldo against Anthony Pettis, especially after Benson Henderson
I agree,
won.
but
I've always told you guys it's not about the fights; it's about the money.
And this one it makes
Chad Mendes deserves his rematch.
I totally agree.
Deserves it.
You know what? Maybe we'll see Chad Mendes versus Ricardo Lamas in an interim featherweight bout. How about that?
And that's why you see John Cena on top all the time.
Really, but yeah, it just makes too much sense for Pettis and Aldo. It's gonna happen. That's win or lose. I think he's going up to 155.
Yeah. You want to do picks or we'll do it online?
No, we'll do it. You guys gotta wait for our picks.
Yeah, go like us on Instagram if you want to see who we go for.
Follow us on Instagram so you see one of the many perks of following us on social media, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Henry Barao, your favorite main event, UFC 169, co-main event, Jose Aldo versus Ricardo Lamas. Also Frank Mir versus Alice Overeem, a bunch of other cards, but also check out Kevin Lee versus Al Iaquinta, Motown Phenom, making his debut. Good friend of 5RoundMMA. That is this Saturday, February 1st from Newark, New Jersey, the Prudential Center, United States.
I bet you they're going to have 0 problems with the weather. You know why? Because it's indoors.
Thank you, Albert, for that great insight here.
I don't know if you guys know this.
Are you the scheduling agent for the UFC?
I should be, though.
Really, I know. Indoors, guys. Indoors. So until then, make sure to follow us on Twitter until next week when we talk about UFC 169, all the outcome. Maybe I'll be coming here with my Ricardo Lamas t-shirt. Guys. So until then, follow us on Twitter at 5RoundMMA. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Like us on Twitter. Check out OvertimeDanSoden.com for the first place where you can read our weekly articles, commentaries, editorials. Overtime, where we talk sports. I want to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors, starting with Redemption Martial Arts. It's a good cause. I think we've all joined the cause to spread the awareness of anti-bullying and verbal self-defense. So if you guys want information to join the cause and see how you can help, go to redemptionmartialarts.com. I want to thank Top Rated MMA, makers of 100% American-made MMA apparel. Go shop topratedmma.com. I want to thank the Madhouse clothing line, clothes for the fighter and fight fanatic. Go shop themadhouse.com and follow them on Twitter at the Madhouse MMA. And make sure to always check out FiveRoundMMA.com. Albert.
I just want to thank our executive producer, Guillermo Cita. And I really want people to go check out the Dan website because I think we do better articles than we do analysis. Yeah. So make sure you read those.
And also that sports. It's
sports in general.
Sports in general, yeah. So.
And then
even professional wrestling too, by the way.
Yeah,
they have a really good pro wrestling
Spoiler alert: Batista versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
No, you didn't.
I'm gonna tell Dan editorial on that one.
Anyways, I'd like to thank our engineer Ollie the Trolley, our sound engineer Steven Razo with Razo Records. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. And Alex is going to wear a plain black T-shirt next week because Ricardo Lamas has no sponsors.
Thank you for listening. For Ricardo Lamas.
Cream of the crop.